All right. So I am so excited about tonight's team call, guys. We have a very special guest. This lovely lady down here. I don't know where I am in the grid with all the pictures, but Beach Buddies, one of the newest super trainers, Megan Davies. And I am super happy that you decided to join us tonight, Megan. Thank you so much. But I'm not going to talk too much because I want to give her as much time as she needs. I like to be respectful of all of your time, so maybe we'll have some time for some questions at the end. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of turn this over to you, Megan, and you can start chatting, and then we'll just go from there. But everyone, please mute yourself so that way there's no crazy noises or strange things that happen. Megan, go ahead. Thank you.
Awesome. So hi guys. Thank you for, inviting me on your team call. I know, it is Monday night. You guys are all doing things. So thank you for, carving out this little bit of time so I can talk to you guys. So basically I usually do these team calls in, I kind of tell you my background, my story, how I ended up with Beachbody, and then kind of go into how why we created Clean Week really, and how you can use Clean Week in your business. And I don't know how many people have heard my story at this point, but I think I ran into Carl at an event not too long ago, and Carl was like, what are you going to talk today about on stage? And I started telling him all these things, and he was like, well, why aren't you telling your story? And I was like, Carl, I've told my story like 500 times, I feel like. And he's like, there are so many coaches. He's like, tell your story, because that's what's going to connect them to Clean Week and make them really understand, why Clean Week is so important for people and why we really created Clean Week. So I'm sorry if you've heard my story already, but I'm going to go with what Carl told me and continue to tell my story for you guys. So my story starts when I was very young. I was always kind of not into fitness, but just always was very active. I was the kid that got home from school, went right outside. I wasn't home until the street lights came on. I was in dance and gymnastics. And so I was just super active. But in reality, my family was really unhealthy. And, I remember like my parents' version of like, okay, we're going to all eat healthy together now. And their version of that was all of a sudden we started drinking like diet soda, like Diet Coke, and sugar-free, sugar-free Pop-Tarts we would eat all the time, and fat-free Hot Pockets all the time. And so this was our like version of a diet. It was just sugar-free and fat-free everything. And so, we just would go on these roller coasters. Like I never necessarily needed to lose weight, but my family was overweight. And so they would go on these roller coasters where it was like eating all this like crap food that was diet and fat-free. My dad, on the other hand, would use the version of like starving himself down if he wanted to go on a diet. And so I just watched my family go on this roller coaster. Every time they went on the roller coaster and they decided that they were going to lose weight, they also decided like, okay, I'm going to go from 0 to 100 in the gym, and I'm going to go from being pretty sedentary to spending like 2 hours in the gym. And obviously they couldn't maintain that kind of lifestyle. They're not eating anything. What they are eating is crap. They have no energy. And then on top of, their normal work days and having kids, they're going to go into the gym for 2 hours. Like it's not going to happen. So eventually they would fall off and in completely the other way. And we would go back to our normal kind of lifestyle of eating, which was a lot of soda. They used to order pizza so much that at one point when they decided to get healthy, the place that we would order from called our house and said, is everything okay? And we're like, yeah, everything's fine. And they're like, oh, we thought we did something wrong, so we want to send over free pizza just in case. And that's like how often we ordered pizza when we were not like on the bandwagon of fitness. And so we just would always go on this roller coaster. And at some point I decided to get out of gymnastics and do fitness competitions just really randomly. And so at that point now I had a coach. He was teaching me about weightlifting. I totally fell in love with weightlifting, lifting heavy, challenging myself. He was really good about teaching me form and teaching me exactly what I needed to do in the weight room. And also was kind of picking up nutrition as I went. As I was going to these shows and competing, I was kind of asking everybody else what they were doing, and I would go home and implement it at home really by myself. And at some point in my journey, my dad saw this and was like, you know what? this is the time. Like, I want to get healthy too. I want to get fit too. So he decided he was going to run a marathon. And he, like I said, he would go from 0 to 100. So instead of just going out and doing like, a 5K, he decided a marathon, and he started running like crazy miles every single day. And at one point his back went out and he ended up in the hospital because he couldn't move. And they did like, all kinds of tests and things like that, scans. And they said, you have 4 herniated discs. They're the last 4 in your lumbar. And if you continue training like this and beating up your body like this, there's going to be a day when you're not going to be able to walk anymore. So here's your decision. You continue doing this and going down the road you're going, or years down the road you're not going to be able to walk. And so once again, fell off the bandwagon. Gained close to 100 pounds. And when I was 16 or 17 years old, I was at one of my shows. He was in the audience along with a bunch of other, family members and friends that had come to see the show. And I went out and like during intermission, and I was sitting with my entire family. I'm looking at my dad. And for somebody who really loves fitness, just couldn't really figure out how to implement it into his own life, here he is sitting there 100 pounds overweight, a 42-inch waist, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, like all these health issues. His father had passed away in his early 50s of a heart attack, and here he is going down that like same path. And so I look at him and I just said, Daddy, I feel so sorry for you. And he's like, you feel sorry for me? You're my 16-year-old daughter. Like, what do you feel sorry for me for? And I wasn't saying that because he was overweight. Like, to me, my dad was like Superman. Like, it didn't even occur to me really that he was overweight. It just occurred to me that he was not living his best life. He loved fitness. He loved being active at some point in his life. I had seen that passion before, and he always kind of took that back seat to everything else going on in his life, to the family, to his job. And he was never able to like consistently just take care of himself. And so that's really where I was coming from when I said, Daddy, I just feel so sorry for you. And, everybody needs that kind of aha moment in their journey to really kind of take that step forward, to kind of making that final commitment. And I think it's one of the important things that, as coaches, as trainers that we do is create these aha moments for people. And it's the first time I got to create an aha moment was for my dad. So that was pretty cool. And he turned to me in the audience in front of like the rest of our family, and he said, okay, I'm 47 years old right now. By the time I'm 50, I'm going to get on that stage and I'm going to do a competition with you. And I know like my entire family is super supportive. Like, we're each other's cheerleaders 100% all the time. But I know some of my family had to be sitting there like, okay, we've seen this roller coaster before. We'll see how long it lasts this time. And so we all sat there like, yeah, this is great. We're going to do this together. So I think the thing that was different now was that now he had a support system at home. So instead of trying to figure out all on his own, now he had me at home who was already doing it. And so, it didn't become like when he gets home from work, like, what are we going to eat? Oh, nobody did anything. Nobody cooked. Everybody was busy. Like, we're just going to order pizza. Now it's like, well, Megan's already kind of been like asking me to meal prep her food. We'll just do it on a bigger level now. So we were meal prepping together, learning about nutrition together, working out together in my dad's garage. And he really started to see the results. So as soon as he started to see the results, my mom was kind of like, okay, like, you're actually doing this. Like, I want to do it too. You're not going to leave me in the dust. I'm going to get on board on this fitness train too. And then my brother also joined in too. So it became like this family thing. And it was just as important for me to learn about nutrition at this point as it was for them. Because like I said, I was just going into shows and asking other people what they were doing. And like anything else, there was people doing it the right way and people doing it the wrong way. And at one point while I was competing, I was going to nationals. I had cut down my body fat super low because it's nationals and, you have to look your best. So I cut down really low. And a couple days before the show, I was doing cardio with one of my friends. I went to fix my ponytail like this, and just a huge chunk of my hair came out in my hand. And so that was like my wake up call. I was like freaking out, calling my trainer, what's going on? I ended up going home and just eating whatever I wanted because I was so freaked out about like having dieted down so low and just completely like wasted that national competition. But I didn't even care at that point because I was like, I didn't get in this to make myself unhealthy. Like I was having fun just working out and going on stage. Like that's why I got into this. So all of a sudden, like having that low percentage of body fat didn't matter so much to me anymore. Being healthy mattered a lot more, and learning about nutrition so I didn't have those problems mattered a lot more. So it was just as important for me not being overweight to learn about those things as it was for the rest of my family to learn about those things because they were trying to cut back weight. And so we all started getting these results together. By the time my dad was 50 years old, he did get on that stage. His goal was not to embarrass himself, he says. He's like, I just wanted to go on that stage and feel like I belonged up there. And he's like, so he got up on the stage and I'm watching the competition, been to a million competitions at this point, and I'm like, you know, I think he did a lot better than just not embarrassing himself. So I ran backstage right before they were going to announce the winners. I was like, you know, my dad's going to, you know, I think place, you know, and if he is going to place, like, can I please go out and give him his trophy? And they were like, your dad's going to win first place. So I got to actually like go out on stage and present him with his first place trophy. And it was really just kind of like the icing on the cake for our entire family's fitness journey. And of course, other people started like recognizing that we had this big transformation. So family and friends started being like, you know, what are you guys doing? We want to do it too. And we started just training people in our garage, doing like little nutrition seminars in our living room. And sometimes we would do P90X in our garage. So it's like funny to see everything come full circle now. And, you know, just started growing very organically of like having so many people in our garage that we ended up moving to a park and training people. So many people in a park. You know, I ended up going to college at some point, going to UCF. Getting a degree in something I wasn't going to use because it wasn't fitness related. It was health service administration. It was more of like hospital administration. I was good with numbers, so I thought that I needed a desk job. I thought like going to college meant I needed a desk job. So I get this degree, I get home, I get this desk job, and it was a fine job. I liked the people I worked with. I was making okay money. But I was going home every night and I was training people in the garage. I was training people at the park at night. I was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning so I could train myself and like going and doing all of these things. Middle of the day, I pretty much hated. And then I would go home and train people and I loved it. So at some point I was like, you know, I really messed up here. Like I need to get back into the thing that I love. And so we were all training people in the park and my dad calls me up one day while I'm at work and he says, you know, we really have something here. Like we have like 50 people in the park at this point. What if, you know, we always talked about this one day we would open up a gym. Like what if that one day was now? He's like, you know, I just happened to go online. I did a little bit of researching and there's a place that I think would be perfect for us to kind of open up our first location. He's like, I'm going to go look at it at 1 o'clock today. Do you want to come? And I'm like, I'm at work. I'm an hour away. Like, no, I'm not going to come look at this like fantasy gym we're going to open. Like, I'm not going. And I hang up the phone and then I'm like, you know what? No harm in asking. So I asked my boss if I can leave. And she's like, yeah, no problem. Like, see you tomorrow. And I'm just like, okay. Like, so I leave that day and I walk into this place and it's just like one of those feelings like I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm doing the right thing right now. And so really without too much hesitation, I like signed a lease. I completely emptied out my bank account for like first, last, and security. We spent all weekend like painting because the walls and the carpet and everything in that place was lavender for some reason. And we moved all like a couple pieces of equipment that we had in my dad's garage into this place. And by like the next Monday, we had a gym. And while we were super excited during the entire weekend of like fixing this place up, all of a sudden it was like reality setting in of like, oh crap, what did we do? And we sat there and we had to take a deep breath because it's like, are these people that were getting free service in the park going to kind of join us along on this journey and now pay for our services because we have overhead to do, are they going to come along with us on this journey? And ultimately the answer was yes. And the answer was yes because they could see that we were coming from just like this place of wanting to help them. Like we wanted to include them in our journey. We wanted to include them in this family and the support system. And I think it's also like one of the reasons I really identify with the coaches too. I can like completely relate to not only like the excitement of, you know, creating, you know, your team and helping people and seeing these transformations, but also some of the frustration that comes with it, with owning your own business and having all these things, you know, going on at once. So, you know, all these people came along with us. Tony Horton actually ended up filming a segment of a reality show in our gym in the first year that we opened our gym. So, you know, we did P90X in the garage. Then, you know, this reality show comes into our gym to film. They're like, we're going to have a guest celebrity trainer today. And in walks Tony Horton. And I spend like an entire day with Tony Horton. And he's like doing handstands off of things and he's lifting things constantly and he's like jumping all around the room and then he's filming, he's like training people. And I just remember thinking like, this guy has a really cool job. Like this guy like gets to travel and do all these things and like this is the best job ever. And then Tony Horton left and I didn't think about him or Beachbody or anything like that again for probably 5 years. And we just continued growing. We had 1,000 square foot facility at first. It grew so fast that we got 2,000. Now we're at 4,000. And it just kept on growing really fast because we continued that attitude of making it a family, about making it more about caring about exactly where you're coming from and exactly what you need instead of just another person that's walking in the door. Like we call people if they don't show up just like you guys do. We make sure that they're coming into the gym. It is definitely like not an LA Fitness type of atmosphere. So I got a call about 5 years ago, about 2 years ago, 2015 or 2016, 2 to 3 years ago. And they asked me if I wanted to do a reality show. They're like, you know, we found you as a trainer and we would love for you to apply for this reality show. And I was like, absolutely not. Like as outgoing as I am in like my gym and like kind of my comfort zone, I am a total introvert, and being on a reality show sounded like my complete worst nightmare. Like somebody following me around with the camera, it's like, what if I do something wrong? What if I say something wrong? Like that just makes me have anxiety like nothing else. So I said no. And a couple of days went by, they called me again. They're like, you know, it just put in your information. Like, who knows what will happen? And at this point, I had actually applied for probably 100 different things that were not reality shows. And maybe I got like a handful of them. So I was like, okay, I'll apply because, you know, what am I going to lose? They're probably not going to call me anyway because I am such an introvert. So, you know, I'll put in my information. So I put in my information and months go by and I don't hear anything. So I'm like, great, didn't make the reality show, no sweat off my back, like don't have to do this, like I'm not too upset about it. And then one day I just get a phone call that's like, hey, in a couple of weeks we're gonna have you come out to LA and film the first, you know, part of the reality show. We're gonna narrow it down from 20 people to 11 people, and 11 people are gonna move into this, you know, fitness reality show house. And I was like, no, this is like, no, I didn't want to do this. But then at that point, they had kept saying like, it's for this company Beachbody, it's for this company Beachbody. And for knowing who Tony Horton was this entire time, doing P90X, I had no idea what Beachbody was. So every time they would say, it's for Beachbody, I would go, okay, great. I don't know what that is, so I don't really care. And so finally, when they said, okay, you're coming out to LA, I'm like, well, maybe I should look up what this Beachbody thing is. And so I finally go and Google Beachbody. And of course, one of the first pictures that pops up is Tony Horton. And so I'm like, the guy with the really cool job. Like, I need to take this a lot more seriously. And so at that point, I did start taking it seriously. And I'm not going to talk too much about, you know, the 20s, because you guys can, and hopefully did see the 20s. It's still available on Beachbody On Demand, so you guys can check that out. It's like really short 20-minute episodes. I think there's like 10 episodes, and it just follows us through this process of, you know, doing all these different challenges and them seeing our personalities and our stories and what we can really bring to the Beachbody family. And so once, the one thing I will tell you about the 20s that you're not going to see if you watched it was that at the end they narrowed down to a top 3. And when they narrowed down to the top 3, they told us the top 3 were, you know, very excited, and they're getting ready to film like the ending where they're going to reveal who won. And so at this point we had been stuck in a house. We weren't allowed to leave the house except for like grocery shopping, like one time a week. We were constantly under cameras, constantly with a microphone on. We hadn't had internet connections or phones or music or TV for 2 months. And so we're all going a little stir crazy, and now we're finally going to find out who won. Somebody from Beachbody comes into the room and goes, "So we're not going to announce a winner today." And we're like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're actually going to have you. We really want this to be a surprise for everybody. So we are going to have you film 3 different endings. You are going to film 2 endings where you lose and 1 ending where you win. And so when we air the episode is when you guys will actually find out who won, because obviously we will air your episode." So I had to wait from like May of that year until October, not knowing if I won, just knowing if I was in the top 3. The literally longest wait of my life. And so finally Carl calls me up right before they air the episode. They say, you know, "We chose you. We want to get started on this new program. You know, what do you think you would want to bring to Beachbody?" And so I had kind of like came in and said, you know, "I want this athletic program." And, you know, I created these, the 20s workouts with like ladders and pull-ups and all this stuff. Like, I want to do something like that. And Carl was like, "Okay, like, I like that for you, but I also want to talk about like how you got into training. Like, who are the people at your gym that you train? Who are the people that you love to train?" And so then I had to kind of sit back and go, well, I don't train athletes. I don't even love to train athletes. Like, it's always cool and fun to be able to like push somebody that, you know, can get to that point. But what's a lot more cool and fun to me is getting to someone that like never thought that they could do a single push-up and transforming them into being able to do push-ups and to being able to work out from like nothing to being able to do all these things, seeing that transformation in their confidence and things like that. Like, that's what really fires me up about training in the gym. And he's like, "That's what you have always been talking about through the 20s too." And that's where I kind of thought that your program would go. Kind of, like you said, bringing people along with you on your fitness journey, introducing them into fitness. And that's when, you know, Carl really is like the mastermind behind the idea of Clean Week. And so we started creating Clean Week, and we knew that we wanted to kind of introduce all the other programs. And so we knew we were going to kind of put in some moves from the other programs. And the big thing about Clean Week is I always say that there are 3 barriers when it comes to fitness. And it ends up being perfect because I call them the FIT barriers. It's FIT. Financial barriers, insecurity barriers, time barriers. That's exactly what anybody coming into my gym is going to like, "Oh, I can't join because of FIT," every single time. So with the financial barriers, for Clean Week, Clean Week takes away that financial barrier. It's either free because they can stream all those workouts. You guys can, give them the meal plan. Or, the best option is the $29.95 to get the sampler pack. And with the sampler pack, that introduces them, that like really opens the doors into Beachbody. Like I said, I didn't know what Beachbody was. Being in the fitness industry since I was 14 years old, owning my own gym, like at this point, I'm like, how did I not know what Beachbody was? But I didn't. And I think a lot of people in the fitness industry either don't or have a misconception about what Beachbody is. And so this opens the doors into Shakeology, into all the different programs Beachbody has to offer, into the fact that there are calendars for these workout programs, and you're not just kind of doing whatever every single day. There's an actual like plan to these workouts and nutrition plans to these workouts. And these are all things that tons of people somehow don't know. It's like they haven't put the pieces together. And this is exactly what is going to put those pieces together for these people. So fit barrier should be gone, because it's like you offer them the $29.95. They say, but I just, did this other workout, thing, and I just spent $200 on something. I don't want to spend any more money on something I'm going to fail with. It's like, all right, let's back it up a little bit. Like, let's try the free version. Like, I'm just going to let you join my group, see what Beachbody is all about, see what our support network is all about, and let's go from there. And if it's free, it's for me. Like, who's going to say no to that? So that's one way, that financial barrier is just torn down. Then comes the insecurity barrier, and that's huge for a lot of people. And I think with the insecurity barrier, when Carl and I talked about Clean Week, we really talked about making this still a significant program. If you guys have done Clean Week and you've done the intensifier, then you know that Clean Week can be a legitimate workout program. You can get a legitimate sweat going and your legs will be sore. But we also wanted to make sure it was doable for everybody. And when I was doing the test groups in Beachbody headquarters, I had put together Clean Week. I had made the modifier really what made Clean Week a beginner program. So at the beginning, I had the modifier and the regular move, just like anything else. And I had a group of Beachbody employees come in, all different fitness levels. We went through the workout program, and I had people dropping like flies. They were literally like, I have a meeting to go to, I can't stay. They were leaving. I had people at the end being like, that was like insanity. Like, you're going to kill a beginner. And I was like, well, nobody did. Like, I looked out and I was literally going up to people like, do the modifier. But nobody would do it. And I should know better. In my gym, nobody wants to do the modifier. It's like modifier is like a dirty word or something. Nobody wants to do it. So at that point, the next day, I decided we're going to try something different. And I made the modifier a base move. And so instead of doing the regular move and having a step down, I just had the base move and then I had a step up. And now all of a sudden, this entire new group of Beachbody employees came in, again, all different fitness levels. I had the people that were really, high level of fitness come in. And when I said, hey, here's the intensified move, they went right for that move. I had people that, were at a lower fitness level. And so when I said, here's the base move or the intensified move, they were like, cool, I'm good at the base move, like no problem here. And they did the base move. And then I had the people that kind of like went back and forth in between. And now all of a sudden, everybody ended the workout and said, wow, I got a really great workout in. Like, no matter where I was at, I got a great workout in. And it's because that we kind of broke down the insecurities about, thinking other people were watching or judging them, feeling like they're doing less than because they're doing the modifier, which we all know isn't true, but it still has that feeling and that connotation like they are doing less than. So it takes all of those things away and just makes them, gives them this 30-minute, like really successful time that they had of starting their fitness journey. And the last one is the time barrier. It's only a 30-minute workout every single day. The meal plan is super simple, so they should be able to get in and out of the kitchen. I'm not somebody who likes to cook, and I'm not somebody who likes to especially clean up afterwards. So I'm not somebody that's going to add like 900 spices. It's going to cost you a fortune. You're going to have a million pots and pans to clean up afterwards. Like, none of that. And it was really important for me to translate that into Clean Week, which I think they did really nicely. And so like really who is Clean Week for? It's for anybody. It is for that beginner. It's for somebody who hasn't worked out in a while and is getting back into it. It's for somebody who's been working out for a long time. Maybe you guys are doing one of the other workout programs. You've been doing it for a while, and like, let's say you're doing 80-day obsession. Get done with 80-day obsession, and I call it like a deload week. Like, maybe you just need a minute to kind of like be like, okay, I want to keep moving during this week, but I just need like a second before I go into either round 2 or another program or something like that. So you can use it for that. So it is for everybody. And I got a really good question, or I've been getting really good questions about how, okay, I have a beginner. So where should I be throwing them? Should I be throwing them into Clean Week, or should I be throwing them into 2B mindset? And I love this question because I think with 2B mindset, it's kind of changed the game of Beachbody a lot. Like, I feel like it really makes Beachbody and kind of their journey more of this like continuum rather than these like very separate programs. Like 2B mindset and Clean Week can go together very easily. Like, do I care if somebody's doing 2B mindset instead of doing the Clean Week nutrition plan? Absolutely not. I love the idea of 2B mindset because it does kind of, instead of like, okay, you have this set meal plan for this set amount of time, people check out after that. If they knew that, okay, I'm supposed to be doing this program for 6 weeks, at that 6-week point, they're checked out. So 2B mindset, there's no real like time span on this. It's like, I'm teaching you things to do for life. So I actually prefer that they're sitting there doing 2B mindset and learning all of those things from Alana, and getting moving with Clean Week. And I think you can kind of, tailor it to the person that's about to start out. So if I have somebody who's starting out that, hey, we're going to, if they're ready for 2B mindset from the financial barrier standpoint, great, get them into 2B mindset, get them onto Shakeology. Okay, how are we going to get moving? They haven't moved for a while, let's go into Clean Week. Like, all of those things can just go together, and it doesn't have to be these separated programs. I just feel like having like 2B mindset and learning all those different steps and things like that is going to be even a lot better for them. So kind of creating, that's what I was going to say. If somebody is, let's say they're like let's say they're over 100 pounds overweight, okay? And maybe they do need a little bit of time to just do 2B mindset before they start Clean Week. Okay, maybe they have a couple of weeks where they do 2B mindset, they get that under control. You're like, hey, let's add in some movement with that. Now let's do Clean Week. So tailor it to them. Like, it doesn't have to be this cookie cutter thing for everybody. Make sure you know exactly who you're talking to and tailor it for them, because from 2B mindset into Clean Week into, Joel's new program is coming out, and he's going to have that little bit that's going to be kind of like they did with A Little Obsessed, where it's like an easier version of that program for a week. So they go from Clean Week into, Joel's easier version into Lift 4 or whatever the program is going to be. Start thinking about it as a continuum, so that way people don't get so lost when their program's over. All of a sudden it's like, okay, there's this natural progression into something new, and they're going to be expecting it now every single time that they end a program. What's coming up next? What's coming up next? And you're not going to lose people if you create this continuum and this lifestyle for them. So I think that's it for me. Do you guys have questions for me? I see. That's crazy. I love that. I think that's crazy was from them not telling us for I don't know how many months that that we didn't win.
I would have gone absolutely crazy. I would have been like, but I just had a couple things. Number one, I absolutely love that the fit barrier that you were talking about, that breakdown. I mean, that obviously that works for this, but in our business in general, guys, that's so great to be able to have that and to kind of break it down and see how this program is great. And to go into that natural progression you talked about, Megan, because so often I think we look at like right now, what they got to do right now, and we don't explain to everybody, like, this is what you can do. You start out here, and then we branch up to something else. And to be able to have that, that's why I really wanted Megan to do the call right now, because everyone's like, oh, 2B mindset, and it's great, but there are people that need a little more than just that baseline. And that's where I think Clean Week is perfect. So thank you so much for sharing that. Did anyone else have questions? I just like to make my comments. So I unmuted everybody, I think, so unless you muted yourself back.
I really like that it's like what do I do now that my program is over? Because I currently am at that point. Like, I just finished my first round of 80-day, and I'm like kind of wanting to get more people into a group, so I don't really want to start right away. And so even for myself, I was like, well, what do I do? And so I think that's a great mentality to have, like to make sure that no one's falling off just because they finished a program, but to keep them going.
Exactly. And it gives you the mentality of like, okay, I have a go-to. Like I finished a program and I have a go-to to just continue on, because what I've seen a lot of, and the same thing happens in my gym. So in my gym, we have a 6-week challenge that we do. And at the end of the 6-week challenge, like it's like all of a sudden everybody has that shift of, okay, well, my 6 weeks is over. And they continue on with the gym, but all of a sudden, instead of coming in 4 times a week, I see them coming in 2 times a week. And I'm like, well, what happened? And it's just like that switch that was in their brain, which is, like I said, why I love Alana's program, because it's not a set time frame. It's forever. So that's going to keep them going on the nutrition forever. I think it's going to set up a really healthy baseline for them to fall back on. I think a lot of times we throw people into some of these programs and they go from having zero nutritional background to like all of a sudden we have all these like rules we have to follow. And then once the time is done, it's just kind of like, okay, well, that was a lot for me. Like, I don't know how to, put that into my regular life. So I'm just going to dump it all. So Alana's going to set up a great baseline for them. They can get moving with Clean Week. So yeah, just start integrating these guys. Like, there's no reason it needs to be all separated. Like, just start, making sure that they have this like nice flow where they start realizing that this is an ongoing thing. This is continuous. This is for life.
I actually, I use Clean Week with my free group. So I start off my free group, like it's a month long. And I started off with just tips, kind of seeing like who's interacting and who's not. And then about a week or 2 in, depending on the activity, we like tell everyone like, okay, we're going to do the free trial for BOD. But we don't just let them sign up, have a free trial, and do nothing. We all go through the Clean Week together. And then this last one we did like the little bit obsessed because we were all doing the 80-day obsession group. But I really like that also, just because it kind of is that nice intro to nutrition, and it's not daunting because it's not 80 days or, 3 weeks or something like that. So it's a nice way to kind of, they know it's free and they're getting something that's valuable to them and can take them through life, even if they don't choose to keep going with it. So thank you for that, because I like it for that reason too.
Thank you. And they don't even have to sign up for the 14-day free trial for Clean Week either. So if they just create a free profile on Team Beachbody, they can log in with that information into BOD, and then they don't even have to put in their credit card information. So I know that's another wall that people kind of have in that financial barrier of like, oh, I have to put in my credit card. Like, I don't know if I want to do this. So that's kind of another option for them. The sooner you can get them trying Shakeology and getting on a BOD membership and things like that, great. So don't use the free version, or version where they just sign up for an account. Don't use that too heavily. Like, if you can get them into the 14-day trial, like, do that as soon as possible, because then they're going to see the total value of BOD. But yeah,
that's what we do. We do the 14-day trial, and we just make sure that we stick with them. We're not just like, oh yeah, 14-day trial.
Yes.
How did you like it? Like, we make sure that we're showing them like the community and everything. So
that's perfect. That's what it's all about.
Anybody else have anything? There's a lot of chatterboxes on this call and no one's talking.
I have a question. So this is probably very specific to me, but I'm expecting, so I am really expecting moms, and then afterwards, really focusing on those that are postpartum. So how can I tie in Clean Week to those people? Because I've done parts of Clean Week. I don't think I've actually ever done the full week. And I know there's some back work, like where you're laying on the ground and stuff. So I don't necessarily know if it's a program I could do now or how I could modify some of those moves right now to kind of like, here's a quick 1-week program to keep us moving. So, I mean, what do you recommend, or how can I market that?
There should only be a few moves where you're laying on your back.
Okay.
And you can always do those like not being on your back. So like, for instance, I think one of the moves that we're laying on our back, we're doing like skull crushers or something like that, and then we're like doing hip thrusts or something with it. So we're kind of laying on our back, we're moving our hips, and we're doing the tricep exercise. So my thought for that would be like standing up, getting the weights behind your head, and doing your skull or your tricep work in that way. So there's always ways to modify it, and I can certainly like make a post of how we might modify some of the floor moves to help you guys, because I know that's also, it's something we were kind of like iffy on even including in Clean Week, because for a lot of people just starting out, getting on and off the floor is a hard time. So if they do want to use a chair or something like that in order to modify some of the moves, some of the plank moves, like putting your hands on the side of your couch so you're on that incline instead, is going to make it a lot easier. So I can definitely like help you guys out with that and like create a post for modifications from your back. But other than that, I have had, tons of expecting moms doing the program. They've all had great results from it because it's a little bit easier for them to control where their heart rate is at and things like that. And so they've really loved the program. And as long as obviously their doctor is cleared them for working out, it should be okay for them. But you're right. Like after the first trimester, there's no more laying on your back. And so I will help you guys out with some of those modifications.
Perfect. Thank you.
Anyone else? So quiet.
I know I like chatter so much. I think I take away people's questions.
No, well, are you going to Summit, Megan, or are you not going this year?
I am going.
Yay! Who on this call is going to Summit? I better see some hands.
A lot. Good.
Well, we appreciate you so much. Hopefully we'll get to see you at Summit. But this was great. I'll share the recording for our team. If you do anything else, we can always, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. But that was just really, really awesome. And I appreciate your time so much hanging with us, because this is a pretty cool squad here. I'm glad they got to learn from you. So any final words?
Picture with you guys. So I can
Yes. Of course, picture. We're all like this. No.
All right, ready. Hold on, let me see. How do I get everybody?
You click the little speaker or up at the top by the speaker.
Gallery view. I see it.
Yeah, you should be able to see everybody that has their camera on. Some people don't. Jen, Joy, Erica.
I need to move away from myself and like.
Joy.
All right, ready. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much again. And everybody have a wonderful night, and I will post the recording soon.
Bye,
All
guys.
right, bye, guys. Thanks again, Megan.
Thank you.